Now, given that Lucasfilm and Disney are going under many different changes throughout the course of the next couple of months, all thanks to, of course, Bob Iger, allowing Jon and Dave to gain all these different privileges to really take control over Lucasfilm slowly but surely in different departments, and really running the show better than Kathleen Kennedy ever did during the events of the sequels and the spin-off movies and stuff around those lines, and how they really are focusing on really reviving Star Wars Legends and making all these different retcons toward the sequel trilogy movies and more. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. Now, one thing about, of course, Jon and Dave's plan for the future of the franchise has a lot to do with the fact that they really are creating all these different retcons toward the sequel trilogy movies and specific key characters that's going to really be applied to their future shows. We already know that there's a post-Episode 9 series in the works that's going to really be one of the big, high-budget, shows for Disney Plus later down the road for the mid-2020s. So there's a lot of things coming out of that. We also have everything related to George Lucas getting more and more involved with upcoming projects as a co-writer, as an advisor, and also directing some episodes here and there on and off to really be more involved on the creative scale. So that brings us to the next big thing about what Disney and Lucasfilm are currently preparing for the character of Rey, and how a lot of this is being orchestrated by Jon and Dave, thankfully. So we already know that Daisy Ridley has been teasing a lot of things about her return as Rey on Instagram and through recent interviews and stuff around those lines, but it goes beyond that. So on top of this, with Favreau and Filoni now getting very involved with the roadmap of Star Wars and cherry-picking many pieces from Star Wars Legends, it's noted, however, that one of the main changes that Favreau recently made to the Disney canon is in preparation for the post-Episode 9 series that currently is being storyboarded and is set to bring a return of both Adam Driver and Daisy Ridley. Now, the series is planned to take place 10 to 15 years after the events of Episode 9, and that Favreau is giving Rey a brand new name and bloodline that is now in the final stages of becoming concrete for the story, and is Jon and Dave's way of giving their own version of Rey to fans. Now further, in the storyboards, Rey goes under the name of Rey Solana Kenobi. Jon and Dave's full-fledged plan is to make her both a Kenobi and a Palpatine, and the concept is that Rey's father, the son of Palpatine, met Kenobi's brother's daughter and had a child named Rey. Now, part of the marketing for changing Rey's name is to not only change the character in an obvious way, but also in spirit. Now, let me just pause here for a second. Now, the middle name there, Solana, goes from, of course, the mother's last name that's currently being planned. We already know that Rey's mother's first name is Miramur. If you guys read one of the most recent Star Wars books back in June of 2022, Shadows of the Sith, and it's a very great read. But in there you do learn that her mother's name is Miramur. Jon and Dave are making a canon that her last name is Solana, a tribute, and we'll dive into this in a second, a tribute to one of the original ideas by Colin Trevorrow. So basically what they have planned is by making Rey into a Kenobi and a Palpatine bloodline together. And this is something that we've been talking about on and off, that has been in the notes process by Jon and Dave, that's now finally entering into the final stages to become concrete for this new post-Episode 9 series. Now, the post-Episode 9 series, the reason why they want to give us their own version of Rey, both bloodline-wise, appearance-wise, and how the character's going to be in spirit, is that Jon and Dave really knew that a lot of fans were divided over the character being overpowered or having, not been well written at some points in time in the sequel trilogy films. So basically, Jon and Dave just want to give their own version of Rey to the overall fandom for fans to enjoy around the globe. So that brings us to the next big thing here, and exactly what this entails. We know that Daisy Ridley has been visiting Lucasfilm about once every couple of months to go over the overall structure of this post-Episode 9 show. It's also going to bring back Adam Driver in a surprise way again. We're still not quite sure how Ben Solo's going to fit into the equation here. Is he going to be a Force ghost? Is he coming back to life? Who knows? We already know that John and Dave have been crafting ideas to make it out that Ben Solo may have never even died in the first place, so they're really in the notes process for Ben Solo's return. But on top of this, John and Dave were never happy with Rey's bloodline being very predictable and easy, and they wanted to purposely make things a bit more complicated for the audience, to have fun and learn new secrets about Rey in this ever-evolving project that is going to have a very big budget. Now, Rey's appearance is also set to change, where in the storyboard, Rey has very long hair and sports black attire, much like Luke did in Return of the Jedi. That is also a tribute to Colin Trevorrow's original Episode 9 design of Rey, that was meant to also be a big piece of the story. With Daisy Ridley getting rehired for the project, this is also being instructed by John and Dave that Rey will be acting differently in this show to mature the character more so in a sense. So let's just, stop here for one moment before I get to the next big piece about all of this, is that this post-Episode 9 series, it's not only going to take place over a decade after the events of Episode 9, but it's also going to give us a more mature take on the character of Rey, a brand new version of the character, so to speak, that fans never really got to see. And so, I think that's why fans should be somewhat intrigued, because it's not going to be the Rey that you remembered. Basically, John and Dave are giving us a reformed version of Rey, as far as how writing goes, as far as character development goes, and the bloodline of the character. Now, sure, I'm not going to stand here and say this is going to fix everything. It's probably not going to, but I think that at the very minimum, it's going to really create entertainment value for the character to really maybe be a little bit more accepted, a little bit more. And that's all that John and Dave want to do, is that they want to at least kind of reshape that character a little bit, kind of add in some twists and turns and really add more backstory to the character. And that's exactly what this episode, or post-Episode 9 series, is really going to focus on. It's not just going to be about Rey, it's also going to be about the new Jedi Order, the next generation of Jedi Knights, all these different things that fans have really been wondering about. Even Favreau kind of teased this a couple days ago, that, yeah, Disney's been looking over post-Episode 9 content for a while now. And believe it or not, John and Dave are very well involved in that entire process. So anyways, on top of all of this, we know that Daisy Ridley, before in the past, said never say never when it comes to her return to Star Wars, to where we stand today in 2023, where a lot of times she's playing coy, she's teasing things to fans, she's being playful with the fandom, and really what's happening is just this, is that yes, she has been in talks with John and Dave, and things really are beginning to come together for Rey's character. So anyways, fill me in below in the comments, guys, whatever you guys have to say about all this below, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Gun in hand, we are alone again. No hiding from night to moon.